Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, let's quickly cut across and listen into what Manish Tiwari has to
Couple
say.
of decisions which were taken by the Cabinet and the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. I would quickly run through some of the salient points, and then my honorable colleague, Mr. Narayanasamy, would do a more detailed briefing on one of those issues which is obviously of great public interest. The Cabinet today approved the revival plan of Scooters India Limited. There was a decision to infuse 90.38 crores as the capital expenditure and as well as restructure the debt which is there to the tune of 111.58 crores. The Cabinet also approved the official amendments to the Lokpal and the Lokayukta Bill 2011, and as I mentioned earlier, that Mr. Narayanasamy would deal with it at length once we are through with the other items. Number three, the Cabinet today gave its approval to the proposed amendments to the Regional Rural Banks Act 1976. The objective is to enhance the authorized and issue capital to strengthen the capital base, as well as extend, as well as deal with the issue of the term of non-official directors, and it is proposed to be fixed to a term which does not extend beyond 2 years. These were the three items which the Cabinet approved today. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs gave its approval to the proposal of ONGC Videsh Limited for the acquisition of a participating interest in ACG fields in the Caspian Sea sector and the BTC pipeline in Azerbaijan. This proposal would go a long way in augmenting India's quest for energy security. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also gave its approval for partially allowing the export of certain edible oils, specifically the export of edible oils from the domestic tariff area to the special economic zones to be consumed by the SCZ units for the manufacture of processed food products, allowing export of coconut oil, which is at present is permitted to be exported only from the Kochi port, from all the EDI ports and through land customs stations, to be notified by the Department of Commerce subsequently. Permission to export edible oils with a minimum export price of USD $1,500 per metric ton in branded consumer packs of up to 5 kgs without any quantitative limit. And finally, approval for setting up an interministerial committee under the chairpersonship of the Commerce Secretary, with the secretaries of the Department of Consumer Affairs, Department of Food and Public Distribution as members, to calibrate the MEP from time to time. The committee can co-opt members as special invitees as per the felt need. Finally, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also approved the fair and remunerative price which is payable to sugar mills for the 2013-2014 sugar season. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs gave its approval for the fair and remunerative price to be fixed at rupees 210 per quintal. This price is linked to a basic recovery rate of 9.5%, subject to a premium of rupees 2.21 that is 2 rupees and 21 paise per quintal for every 0.1 percentage point increase in recovery above that level. So essentially, these were the items which were approved by the Cabinet and the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. The detailed press releases would be circulated. Now I would request एक बारी लोकायुक्त वाला हो जाए, उसके बाद उसको फिर हिंदी में जो भी आप कहेंगे वो इकट्ठा कर देंगे. And now I would request Mr. Narayanasamy to give us a more detailed briefing on the official amendments to the Lokpal and Lokayukta. The exact quantum of increase as compared to last year, those figures are not readily available with me. They're in my other papers, but I would give them to you the moment we finish with this Lokayukt and Lokpal and Lokayukta. Well, essentially all that which is imperative for the purposes of a cabinet briefing in terms of the approvals which have been granted by the cabinet to various decisions. I have shared that with you. If there would have been anything more to share, I would have definitely brought it within the zone of your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Manish. As the Honorable Minister has mentioned, today the Cabinet approved the Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill 2011. The amendments which have been proposed in the Cabinet. In 27 December 2011, in the Lok Sabha, Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill was passed. On 29th of December 2011, when we took the bill to the Rajya Sabha, it was debated and it was carried over to May 2012. On 27th May 2012, the Lok Sabha, there was a demand from the Honorable Members of Parliament. The bill may be referred to the Select Committee. On the request of the members, the government agreed and the bill was referred to the Select Committee by the Chairman, Rajya Sabha. The committee was headed by Shri Satyavat Chaturvedi, who was the chairman of the committee, the Select Committee, and they submitted the report to the government about 1 month back, 1.5 months back. There were total 16 amendments have been proposed by them, of which 14 have been accepted by the government and 2 were not agreed. I will briefly mention the salient features of the amendment that have been proposed by the committee. 14 were accepted and 2 were not agreed. The contentious issue was Lokayukta. Most of the members of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha have suggested that the Lokayukta, the bill should be passed in the respective states. Therefore, the Select Committee mentioned in the report that the part 3 of the bill, that is from section 63 to 97 of the Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill, may be deleted, and in section 63 a provision has to be added that from the day the Lokpal Bill is passed in the Parliament, within 365 days, the states have to pass Lokayukta Bill in their respective states, which was agreed by the government. And secondly, the person who wanted to be a member of the Lokpal earlier we have mentioned that he should not be connected to any political party. Now, little modification has been made in the amendment by way of an amendment, saying that they should not be affiliated to any political party. They bring a legal phraseology. That was also accepted by the government. There was another contentious issue which was debated in the side committee, and they came to the conclusion that the selection committee of Lokpal comprises of the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Chief Justice of India, and one eminent jurist. About the eminent jurist selection process, the select committee suggested that right from Prime Minister, Speaker, Leader of the Opposition and Chief Justice, they should identify the name and it should be approved by the President, which the government has agreed. Then coming to the institutions, that is charitable institutions which are running hospitals and schools, they are being given lands by the government for construction of the school and the hospitals with certain conditions. Because we thought that since any organization or institution which is substantially financed by the government of India, they will come under the purview of Lokpal. As far as some of the institutions which are getting land, the committee suggested that the aided by finance, yes, aided by those for those institutions, aided by the government of India for those institutions, they should be excluded, which also we have agreed. The aided in the sense lands being given to religious institutions, especially the charitable institutions, hospitals and the schools. So no accountability on that. They should be excluded from the purview of Lokpal. Other accountability will be there. Terms and conditions will be there. Those who are funded, they are coming under the purview. Funded by the government, it comes under the purview. They will come under the purview of the bill. उनको नहीं, अभी ये चैरिटेबल इंस्टीट्यूशन है, अभी कोई हॉस्पिटल चलाने के लिए उनका जमीन दिया, स्कूल के लिए दिया, आपको मालूम है ये क्रिश्चियन मिशन है, some other organization, उनके बारे में aided, they wanted the name, that word to be removed, but financed it will remain. Then the other issue was about the temples, gurudwaras, churches, and other the institutions which are coming under the religious institutions, trust or mosque, all these things will be exempted, excluded from the purview of the act, which also we agreed. रामदेव का ट्रस्ट रिलीजियस ट्रस्ट नहीं है, उसके लिए जरूर आएगा. Then the other issue is a very contentious issue which the government has not agreed was the Lokpal, after receiving the complaint, may suo moto without giving an opportunity to the person against whom charges have been levelled. They can order investigation, which the government did not agree. He said that opportunity has to be given to them and their views have to be heard. Then they should order inquiry and investigation. Therefore, we did not agree on that, because in the original bill which has been passed in the Lok Sabha, at the time of preliminary inquiry, because the person should know what are the allegations that have been raised against him. He might be having the records to prove that those allegations are false. Therefore, that opportunity has to be given to him. The second stage, at the time of investigation, after the preliminary inquiry is over, then another opportunity has to be given. Another major recommendation that has been given by the Select Committee was, in the original bill that has been approved by the Lok Sabha, that there was no sanction for prosecution by the Lokpal. The Select Committee said the sanction is required to be given not by the government but by the Lokpal. Lokpal has to give sanction after going through the records, hearing the competent authority, that is the department concerned, or the person, the people who are in the realm of affairs, and also the person against whom charges have been leveled. Then they can. Regarding government servant, the government servant only competent authority comes. Otherwise, the person concerned comes. Therefore, they said sanction has to be given to them. They suggested 5 other systems for the purpose of investigation, for the purpose of the conducting the proceedings. They wanted separate directorate of prosecution. Government agreed. Then the director of prosecution should be selected by CVC. We have agreed. The third, they said that as far as the councils are concerned, the appointment of council, the government should have a list of councils who are going to appear before the Lokpal, which you have agreed. Then the providing budget for the Lokpal functioning, their maintenance, everything, government has agreed. One other thing which he did not agree, the officers who are investigating the case, who are on the cases referred to by Lokpal, because the officers, when they investigate the case, on the basis of the inquiry that has been forwarded by the Lokpal to the officers concerned, especially CBI, CBI will be under the supervision and superintendence and direction of the Lokpal, which is already there in the Act. That what we did not agree was the officers who are there in the investigation, without the permission of the Lokpal, the officer should not be transferred. Because the CBI is an independent organization. The government cannot transfer an officer, it's only within the system they do it. Therefore, the Lokpal should not be given that authority. If they want to transfer officer, if they want an efficient officer to come, it is for them to decide. Therefore, out of 16 amendments, 14 have been accepted by us. The 2 we did not agree. And then now we will go to the Rajya Sabha with the amended provision, requesting the chairman Rajya Sabha to take up the matter and pass it in the Rajya Sabha. This is what it has been approved by the cabinet. CBI director I will answer. As far as CBI director is concerned, under the CVC, already amendment has been carried out. The selection is by the Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, Chief Justice of India, or his nominee. It remains. Nobody touched it. But some media is running it, saying that some changes have been made. It is not correct.
Okay. Just a moment, sir. One by one, please.
So today in the cabinet meeting, you have now specified, so far everything was silent select committee when it was passed in Lok Sabha about political parties, whether they'll be under the ambit of the Lokpal or not. Today in the cabinet, you have specifically said that I'm making an explanatory that political parties will be exempt. Can you please explain why political parties now have been made exempt along with religious and charitable institutions? Why have you included political parties?
I have not included political party. The select committee also not referred to any political party. I mentioned because, inside the cabinet, whatever happened, I don't want to say anything on that because, whatever information you got, it may be correct, it may not be correct. But whatever deliberation took place in the cabinet, I will not say that. But one thing I would like to say, as far as the political parties are concerned, select committee has not recommended. We have not spoken on that.
So it is exempt or not exempt?
You see, as far as the political parties are concerned, there are some other law which is governing them.
So they are exempt.
I don't want to say anything on that. But you asked in the context of the cabinet meeting. Otherwise, I should have answered your point.
On Lokpal, Mr. Narayanasamy, are you saying that political parties are exempt from the Lokpal ambit?
No. Now you are modifying your question because the Representation of People's Act is there. The Representation of People's Act, the political parties are registered. Whatever the provisions that are governed under the Representation of People Act will cover the political parties.
Yes, please. Sir, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. So the lady is asking.
With regard to the law minister himself has said that there should not be a chance should not be given to a public servant to explain the cause before sanctioning prosecution or before ordering an inquiry, because if you give a chance to a public servant to give his explanation, then he will destroy evidence. This is what the law minister has said in the Lokpal draft.
Local draft.
In the amended bill.
Who told you that?
So we have a copy of the bill. So based on that, I'm
can you give it to me?
So we have done a story on that, sir. So what I'm saying is that when the law minister has said this,
no, madam, whatever we discussed, deliberated in the cabinet, I don't want to say.
So he has also said that in the criminal justice system,
I suggest if you have any questions on what a minister has announced, you can ask those questions.
No, madam, I will answer that point. I will answer that point.
Yeah.
Because as far as the law ministry is concerned, I would like to say they changed their view and they gave a modified note which has been accepted by the government.
नारायण स्वामी जी, आपने अभी कहा कि राजनीतिक पार्टियां इस देश के अंदर रजिस्टर्ड हैं, एक कानून के तहत वो आती हैं। वो कौन सा कानून है? और सीधे सीधे कहा गया अन्ना हजारे की तरफ से कि आप इस देश की आंखों में धूल झोंक रहे हैं, ये सिर्फ ड्रामा है। क्यों नहीं राजनीतिक पार्टियों को भी इसके अंदर रखा गया है? सबसे बड़ी बात ये, और वो दो कौन सी बात हैं जो आपने नहीं मानी है? 16 प्रपोजल आए, आपने 14 माने, दो कौन से आपने नहीं माने?
अभी 16 प्रपोजल हम अग्री किया। 2 प्रपोजल के बारे में, 2 सजेशन के बारे में सरकार के तरफ हम उनको बताया। अभी सेलेक्ट कमेटी का हमको जवाब दिया। नंबर 1 हमारे तरफ से हम बताया, नंबर 1 ये अभी कोई सरकारी कर्मचारी के खिलाफ और ये दूसरा अन्य लोगों के खिलाफ कंप्लेंट आ रहा है। अभी उनके खिलाफ इंक्वायरी शुरू करने के पहले उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी देना, ये कोई सिस्टम है, उसके लिए हम ये प्रोविजन हम एग्री नहीं किया। दूसरा, ये सीबीआई ऑफिसर लोकपाल के अंदर काम कर रहा है, ये केस इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहा है, उनको ट्रांसफर करने के समय में लोकपाल को पूछ कर करना। ये बताया, आपको मालूम है सीबीआई ये इंडिपेंडेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उनका कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का अंदर नहीं आएगा, वो डायरेक्शन देगा, वो अभी उनका ओवरऑल कंट्रोल में नहीं आएगा, उसके लिए हम उसको मना कर दिया। सर राजनीतिक पार्टियों को मैंने बताया आपको, अभी हमारा तरफ से बिल में उसके बारे में कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है।
Mr. Swami, my question pertains to the locus standi of the cabinet to relook this bill as amended by select committee. Since select committee was constituted by the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the report was presented to chairman of the Rajya Sabha, how come this bill, which was property of the house of Rajya Sabha, came to cabinet back again? Can you enlighten us on this?
No. As far as the select committee is concerned, yes, select committee has given its recommendation. The government's view has to go to the parliament. How the government's view will go to the parliament, it said the collective wisdom of the government will go to the parliament. But we have agreed on 14, 2 we did not agree, which when the debate at the time when the parliament debate takes place, the honorable members of parliament in their own wisdom, whatever they decide, it is going to be final. Because it's the government's view we have given, select committee's view they have given, finally the deciding authority, the parliament is supreme, parliament in its wisdom will decide on this.
No, but the point he is making is that this was a select committee and that it should have been left to the select committee and it should have been taken straight to parliament.
No, it is not the system, but we will have to take the cabinet into confidence. Therefore, we have taken the cabinet into confidence. Cabinet's views were heard. Then it will be, at the time when the debate takes place, I will mention these are the views.
But you are saying so there is another third one also about after the report of investigating authority, Lokpal will have to refer it to the competent authorities for their comments before prosecution of sanction. That you have said, because the select committee was silent. Now is the...
Before you came, I told that subject. Because sanction for prosecution was restored by the select committee has recommended that in that context I mentioned.
There will be 3 changes, not 2.
3. This one, this is one of the, because which is government is in agreement with them.
Sir, we have reviewed by your point that this bill in total, the two recommendations which you are not accepting is again will be debated in the House and House can take it.
No, the whole bill will be debated in the parliament. The members of parliament they are yet to give some of the suggestion. It may come also for discussion. Parliament, you cannot say anything what will happen.
Sir, yes, please, just one moment. Yes.
सर, क्या सीबीआई डायरेक्टर के अपॉइंटमेंट के प्रोसेस में कोई चेंज हुआ है और क्या किस तरह से अपॉइंटमेंट होगा? आप अगर
अभी आपको मालूम है लोकसभा में बिल हम पास कर दिया, लोकपाल और लोकायुक्ता बिल। ये में सीबीसी डायरेक्टर सिलेक्शन के बारे में प्रधानमंत्री, विपक्ष नेता, सीबीआई 3 मेंबर कमेटी उनको निर्णय करेगा। उसके बारे में मैं बोल रहा हूं आपको। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री, आदरणीय विपक्ष नेता और आदरणीय चीफ जस्टिस तीनों बैठ के सीबीआई डायरेक्टर का नाम फैसला करने के लिए उनका अधिकार दिया। सीबीसी में हम अमेंडमेंट लाया। अभी ये उसको कोई चेंज नहीं है अभी तक।
मनीष, आपसे एक दूसरा सवाल है। विश्वरूपम फिल्म को लेकर बहुत कंट्रोवर्सी चल रही है।
Let's have those questions later. Let's first finish the chapter.
Narayanasamy ji, a select committee's report is generally binding on the government to accept it. How can you change these 2 or 3 features that you have?
Madam, you yourself said generally binding.
Well, that's the norm
because as far as the government's view has been given, but the select committee report and the government view and the bill will go to the amendments will go to the parliament. It will go to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha will decide. If the Rajya Sabha says no, other 2 amendments which have been not agreed by the government, it should be accepted. It is for the government, the parliament to decide.
Have you taken Attorney General's view to say that political parties like will have to go back to the Lok Sabha?
Yeah, it has to go back to the Lok Sabha. After the bill is passed in the Rajya Sabha, it has to go back to the Lok Sabha because the Lok Sabha will be taken into confidence about the amendment that have been proposed and accepted.
But you hope to get it passed in both the houses during the budget session?
Because I need all your cooperation and support,
Not your
along with the members of parliament, for passing this bill.
Any other questions on the Lokpal issue? Hanji.
देखिए, मैं उसका जवाब नहीं दे रहा था। मैं सिर्फ इस चीज का जवाब दे रहा था कि जहां तक राजनीतिक दलों का सवाल है, जो चुनाव आयोग है वो एक संवैधानिक संस्था है और उसको ये कार्य दिया गया है कि जो रिप्रेजेंटेशंस ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट है उसका वो क्रियान्वयन करते हैं। तो जब एक संवैधानिक संस्था एक पूरे क्षेत्र को देख रही है तो ये समझा गया कि वो जिस स्वरूप में है वो ठीक है।
अभी आपको मालूम है लोकसभा में हम बिल पास किया, एमए माइनॉरिटी का रिजर्वेशन है, ओबीसी का रिजर्वेशन है। ये अब कोई एमए चेंज नहीं है। अब सेलेक्ट कमेटी में उसका कोई चेंज नहीं है। अभी थोड़े एक बीजेपी ने एक डिसेंडिंग नोट दिया, उसके अलावा सर्वसम्मति से पूरा लोग माइनस बीजेपी सब लोग पास किया। Because the original, the provision that the Prime Minister also comes under the purview of the Lokpal is there with certain modifications, reservations, because on the internal security, foreign policy, all these issues.
मनीष जी, ये विश्वरूपम का जो कंट्रोवर्सी लगातार चल रहा है उस पर आपने एक ट्वीट भी किया था कि सिनेमेटोग्राफी एक्ट में बदलाव की जरूरत है। तो किस तरह की बदलाव की आप बात कर रहे हैं और क्या वो बदलाव होने के बाद जो फैसला होगा वो आखिरी होगा, राज्यों को मानना होगा?
देखिए, इससे पहले कि मैं आपके इस बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण सवाल का जवाब दूं, एक गन्ने की फसल को लेकर सवाल पूछा गया था, तो उसका स्पष्टीकरण मैं दे दूं क्योंकि भारत के करोड़ों किसानों के लिए वो भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है। पिछले वर्ष सीएसीपी ने 170 रुपए का जो मूल्य है उसकी सिफारिश की थी और उसको सरकार ने मान लिया था और 17.24% बढ़त थी उससे पिछले साल के मुकाबले, और जो रिकवरी रेट के ऊपर बढ़त थी वो ₹1 और 80 पैसे के लगभग थी। इस वर्ष सरकार ने 22% जो फेयर एंड रिम्यूनरेटिव प्राइस है उसको बढ़ाया है और ₹210 तय की गई है, और जो रिकवरी के ऊपर एक्स्ट्रा इंसेंटिव दिया जाएगा उसके बारे में मैं आपको पहले जानकारी दे चुका हूं। जहां तक आपका विश्वरूपम का सवाल है, देखिए ये जो मामला है ये अदालत के विचाराधीन है, और जब भी कोई मामला अदालत के विचाराधीन होता है तो एक परंपरा रही है कि उसके ऊपर अनावश्यक टिप्पणी नहीं की जाती। पर जो एक बड़ा सवाल खड़ा होता है और जिसके बारे में आज सुबह हमने प्रतिक्रिया दी थी, वो ये है कि जो भारत का संवैधानिक ढांचा है, उस संवैधानिक ढांचे के तहत ये अख्तियार केंद्र सरकार को दिए गए हैं कि केंद्र सरकार निर्धारित करती है कि कौन सा चलचित्र दिखाया जाए और कौन सा चलचित्र ना दिखाया जाए, और ये जो अख्तियार है ये सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ फिल्म सर्टिफिकेशन के माध्यम से हम क्रियान्वित करते हैं। तो सवाल ये खड़ा होता है कि जब सीबीएफसी एक फैसला कर लेती है तो क्या जो राज्य सरकारें हैं उनको उसके ऊपर किसी और मुद्दे को लेकर, जो हो सकता है बिल्कुल जायज हो, अपने अख्तियारों का उपयोग करना चाहिए। और उसके लिए ये समझा गया कि शायद जो सिनेमेटोग्राफिक एक्ट है उसको एक बार दोबारा से देखने की जरूरत है। तो इसलिए मेरे जो माननीय सूचना प्रसारण सेक्रेटरी हैं उनसे ये अनुरोध किया है कि आप एक समिति का गठन कीजिए। जो समिति जो सिनेमेटोग्राफिक एक्ट है, अगर उसमें कोई तब्दीली करने की जरूरत है, जो उसके फैसले किए जाते हैं उन फैसलों को किस तरह से क्रियान्वित किया जाए जिससे कि उसमें कोई बाधा ना आए, इसके बारे में अगर कोई सिफारिश वो समिति करनी चाहेगी तो ये सारे मामले उनके संज्ञान में रखे जाए। You see, under the constitutional scheme of things, the 7th schedule, entry 60 of the Union list, gives the powers to the central government to certify a film to be either fit for exhibition or to be unfit for exhibition. The central government exercises those powers through the Central Board of Film Certification. Now, once the Central Board of Film Certification comes to a certain conclusion, then it is expected that the state governments would implement that decision, because this is something which exclusively falls to the central jurisdiction. Now, if the states are to raise concerns, and I'm not saying that those concerns may not be bona fide, but which has the effect of putting an estoppel on the decision of the Central Board of Film Certification, then perhaps there is a need to revisit the Cinematographic Act and to see, whether there is a need to make the statutory architecture or the regulatory framework more robust, so that once a decision is taken, then that decision is implemented. And if at all, a state government or an individual does have a difficulty with him, then does he have the avenues available under that act in order to see that his grievance gets redressed? So there are certain issues which have come up as a result of certain decisions which have been taken in the past by various state governments. So it was felt that maybe the time has come to have a relook at the Cinematographic Act, and that's why I've suggested to Secretary INB to constitute a committee to go into it in a holistic manner.
Related question.
Well, I think whatever जो भी तमिलनाडु सरकार को कहना है, तमिलनाडु सरकार को अब अदालत में कहना चाहिए, क्योंकि मामला अदालत के विचाराधीन है। अगर उनके पास कोई गुप्त सूचना थी या कोई ऐसी सूचना थी जिसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए उन्होंने कोई फैसला किया है, तो क्योंकि अदालत सारे मामले को देख रहा है, तो सही ये रहेगा और बेहतर ये रहेगा कि वो अपनी बात अदालत के सामने रखे। पर क्योंकि इस मामले से जुड़े हुए और कुछ जो मामले पहले हुए हैं उससे कुछ सवाल उत्पन्न हुए थे जिनको अपने संज्ञान में लेना जरूरी था, और इसीलिए हमने ये सुझाव दिया है कि ये समिति का गठन करना चाहिए। Well, insofar as the issue of Telangana is concerned, and we have addressed this earlier also, that there is a need to be patient, there is a need to be engaged. Government has been engaged with the issue, and there is a need to have patience, and there is a need for forbearance on all sides. And at this point in time, I don't think it would be appropriate to say anything more than this. Well, Mr. Sharad Pawar is a senior member of the UPA. You know, he's a very valuable and a respected ally. If at all he has given certain suggestions, we take his suggestions very seriously. But as I earlier said, we are engaged with the issue, but there is a need for patience and forbearance on all sides.
You say. But at the same time, don't you think the film star Kamal Haasan, who's the producer of the film, also make an unwanted statement? And do we need a state, 8 million people need certificate from Kamal Haasan that Tamil Nadu is a secular or non-secular state? Or will you agree that any film star from Punjab say that Punjab is not a secular state? Will you accept the statement of the film star?
Well, since I am a liberal by instinct and you asked me this question, I tend to lean on side of the freedom of speech and expression.
Just a moment. Venkat, please, I think let's move on to the next question. You've already asked your question. Venkat, please, the lady is waiting.
One more question.
What is your question?
I put it already to...
Venkat, I replied to you, but for your benefit, I would reiterate it again. Being a liberal by temperament, I tend to lean on the side of the freedom of speech and expression.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Mr. Arun Jaitley has just made a statement that the government is only interested in controlling the CBI through the Lokpal, and if they lose control over the CBI, they will not be able to control voting in the parliament. Your comments, sir?
The Lokpal is the speciality of my honorable senior colleague. He will respond.
But because I would like to share with all of you, the honorable leader of the opposition, Rajya Sabha, Shri Arun Jaitley was a member of the committee of Lokpal. He was party to the decision in bringing these amendments to before the House. As far as the allegation that has been raised, it is for political reasons. BJP has been raising this issue. In fact, I have given several instances where even Congress leaders were also prosecuted by the CBI. And as far as the CBI is concerned, under the Vinith Narayan's case, it is an independent body. It has been functioning within the parameters given by the Supreme Court and also the CBC. Therefore, the allegation that has been raised by the honorable leader of the opposition, Rajya Sabha, is totally not correct, and I refute it with full capacity on my command.
देखिए, मैंने कल भी ये बात कही थी कि अगर ये मामला अदालत के विचाराधीन ना होता तो इसके ऊपर बहुत ही विस्तार से हम टिप्पणी करते, क्योंकि अभी मामला अदालत के संज्ञान में है। इसलिए ये बेहतर रहेगा कि अदालत किसी निष्कर्ष पर पहुंच जाए। और जहां तक किसी पत्रकार, किसी कलाकार का सवाल है या किसी पत्रकार का सवाल है, अगर किसी भी क्रिएटिव व्यक्ति का के दिल को कोई ठेस पहुंचती है या उसको आहत होती है, तो हमारी संवेदना, हमारी सांत्वना सदा उसके साथ रहती है।
But isn't it a fair, this whole cultural
That is precisely the reason why we thought that there is a need to relook at the entire Cinematographic Act framework, because obviously once a certification is given, people who have been charged with that responsibility do take all this into consideration, and only after taking all this into consideration is a certification granted. But then, under our constitutional scheme of things, law and order is a state subject. The states do have the powers, to exercise their constitutional remit, and eventually there is a need to harmonize and reconcile the powers which are available to the central government and the powers which are available to the state government, to see that the freedom of speech and expression is not unnecessarily or unreasonably restricted.
मनीष जी, आज संघ परिवार के नेताओं की बैठक हुई और गृह मंत्री शिंदे ने जो बयान दिया था उसको अब चुनावी मुद्दा बनाने की तैयारी कर रही है संघ परिवार और जो दूसरे घटक हैं। तो आपको नहीं लगता कि इस तरह का बयान देकर एक चुनावी मुद्दा संघ परिवार और बीजेपी और तमाम दलों को दे दिया है आप लोगों ने?
देखिए, डीजीपीआईबी का ये मानना है कि राजनीतिक सवालों का जवाब इस मंच से ना दिया जाए, तो इस प्रेस वार्ता को खत्म करने के बाद जो भी राजनीतिक सवाल होंगे मैं उनका विस्तार पूर्वक जवाब दे दूंगा।
नहीं,
नया डैम बना रहा है, ये भारत के लिए एक सुरक्षा के लिए भी खतरनाक है और बाढ़ सूखे की स्थिति भी पैदा कर सकता है ना?
देखिए, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय या कूटनीति से जुड़े हुए जो भी मामले होते हैं उस पर विदेश मंत्रालय बहुत पैनी नजर बना के रखता है, और अगर कोई भी ऐसी बात होगी जिस पर चिंता करने की जरूरत होगी, भारत और विदेश मंत्रालय जरूर उसको अपने संज्ञान में लेकर और गंभीरता से संज्ञान में लेकर अगर किसी प्रतिक्रिया की जरूरत होगी तो आपको जरूर उससे अवगत करा देंगे।
लास्ट क्वेश्चन, ये जस्टिस वर्मा कमेटी की रिपोर्ट पर क्या कोई चर्चा हुई है कैबिनेट में? और दूसरा सवाल ये कि क्या सरकार अध्यादेश लाने पर विचार कर रही है क्या उस क्रिमिनल लॉज में?
देखिए, कैबिनेट में जिन जिन मामलों के ऊपर चर्चा हुई बहुत ही पारदर्शिता से उसका पूरा ब्यौरा आपके सामने और आपके समक्ष रख दिया गया है। इसके अलावा अगर कुछ हुआ होता तो जरूर वो भी आपके हम समक्ष रख देते हैं।